Hi, welcome to the challenge, Overwhelmed to Organised, and the second video in the series. And the question today is, how will you get motivated to actually make the change from being overwhelmed to being organised? How will you actually keep doing the work? Because it won't be an instant change. If it was just like this, then we'd all be calm and organised straight away. So obviously there's some work to do, and over the next few days we're going to be doing that. But today we're going to stop and actually say, how do I get motivated to make that change? Because if we don't have the motivation, then at the end of the 5 days we just go back to normal, and that would be a pity. So today the question I've got for you to help you to work out, to build up some motivation, is, what impact is overwhelm having on your life? Some of you are going, ouch already. I know, I think I would have done that earlier on when I was really tackling with overwhelm and struggling to work out how to even understand it, what it's all about and how it's working. But what does that look like? I understand, because I've actually, as well as being quite stressed for quite a bit of my life, I've actually been overwhelmed in a few different situations. So just a couple of quick stories. When I was working in a corporate, the corporate culture was up or out. What that means is you succeed or you don't have a job anymore. So that's kind of stressful already. And so I became quite a perfectionist. I would work for hours and hours on work that I probably should have just said, yes, that's good enough, and put it in. But I was terrified of actually not being good enough, being found out to be not good enough. And looking back, there was no risk of that. But at the time, it felt really, really real and really stressful. And we'll talk a bit about that in a couple of days, more about the stories that make us feel overwhelmed. But yeah, so the other thing was, even when I was first married, I would have friends over for dinner, and about half an hour before they arrived, I would actually get totally overwhelmed. Pretty much every time on schedule, I would freak out. I would think the potatoes aren't in the oven yet. They're not going to be ready. This is not ready. That's not ready. It's not all of it's and in my mind, all these things that I'd created as personal deadlines suddenly became a bit of a disaster in my own imagination, and I became quite overwhelmed just before that arrived. And then I'd have to pull myself together, put on some happy music, and try and enjoy the night. I wonder if you've done something like that. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about it, but it's actually very real, I think, for a lot of us. And at that time, I didn't know that it was possible to live without that stress. I didn't know it was possible to live without these sudden outbursts of overwhelm, where suddenly, kaboom, the stress would explode. But today, I'm much more aware of when my emotions building up. If I can feel the stress building up, then I can actually pause and take some deep breaths like we did yesterday, and do some other strategies like I'll tell you the next few days, to actually say, wait, I don't have to totally freak out. I don't have to get overwhelmed. I don't have to be stressed. It's okay. I can do this. Wouldn't that be wonderful if you could do that all the time? I think all of us want to do that all the time. So today's strategy is actually to pause and ask yourself, how is overwhelm impacting you? Why are we doing that? Because if you've got a clear picture of the goal that you've got for yourself, where you're headed, then that is the motivation that you need. It's a really powerful way to motivate yourself to do the work to get the goal. So let's get started. So I just invite you to pause and ask yourself, when you're overwhelmed, what is that overwhelm costing you? Ouch. But what is it? Be really honest with yourself. What is, when you get overwhelmed, when you're stressed out, what is that costing you? Have you got an answer? And then when you think of the answer, then ask yourself again, what is that costing you? And then what is that costing you? And what is that costing you? And maybe you can even do it 1 or 2 more times. What is that costing you? Have you got an answer? If you've got a clear answer, write it down. If you're not so sure, then I invite you to just take some time, go for a walk a bit later, and just ask yourself those questions, or just journal. Sometimes just writing it down, and just keep writing, and what's that costing me, and what's that costing me, and writing it down. Through writing, sometimes you can break through a blockage and actually get an insight into what's really happening there for you. Okay, so now the positive. So imagine you were organized and you weren't overwhelmed anymore. No more ongoing stress, no more ongoing overwhelm. What would that give you? That's more fun, isn't it? And if you've got an answer to that, then what would that thing give you? And what would that give you? And what would that give you? If you can repeat that about 5 times, maybe 7 times as you're writing it down, and just keep digging in until you've got a really clear picture of your goal. Where do you really want to be? What would life be like if you weren't overwhelmed anymore? Once you've got that picture, I really invite you to get in the running to win fabulous prizes, and also to encourage one another. I'd love you to answer either by replying to the email if you got this as a video on an email link, or putting a comment in the comments below the video if you're watching this on Facebook. What is one thing that, if you weren't overwhelmed anymore, what's one wonderful thing that you are looking forward to? One thing that not being overwhelmed anymore would give you. There might be lots of things, but just pick one that you'd like to share. We'd all like to encourage one another and share that. I look forward to seeing your answers, and the winner of that prize will actually get ongoing access to the course Spark Your Motivation. So that goes into this whole motivation thing a whole lot deeper, and you'll get ongoing access to that online. Sounds fun? Okay, so all the best with this. Play with it, journal with it, think about it, get really clear on what overwhelm is costing you, what getting rid of overwhelm will give you, the ultimate goal of how your wonderful, happy, relaxed, peaceful life would be. And the more you can visualize that peaceful, happy life between now and tomorrow's video and into the future, the more motivated you'll be to make the change. Enjoy, and all the best. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.